Hi guys, this is Chris Serio. Today's screencast is going to be on the ATC system, specifically ATC Taxi Networks. From an authoring perspective, what is a taxi network? How do we make one? So let's get started. So what is a taxi network? The easiest way for me to think about this is to treat taxi networks as Victor Airways or Jetways in the sky. So they're providing a path to and from different parts of the airport. So whether you're at the terminal, you need to get to the runway. How do you get there without driving over the lawn or driving through a terminal building? If you're on the runway, how do you get to the intersection of Juliet and Kilo, or whatever the case may be? So that's what the network is for. And additionally, each segment on the network is going to contain metadata. So it has the taxiway name so that ATC knows how to give taxi instructions, taxi via Charlie and Bravo 3. And it also has information about where aircraft need to stop. So a real pilot is going to see a hold short line and know that he needs to stop there, waiting for permission for ATC from ATC to tell him to cross. The AI aircraft inside the simulator also need to know where to stop automatically, and this is where the information comes from. So, any airport that is to have ATC needs to have a taxi network. The good thing is that they're generated automatically at runtime. So this means that that X-Plane itself will build a taxi network for you on the fly, based on the pavement that it sees down on the ground. So this also works for custom scenery, which is great because if you modify an airport to add new taxiways to it, the next time you load up the simulator, you will also have brand new taxi network on top of it that will maybe make use of your new taxiways. So if we do this automatically, why would anybody want to make their own? And the reason is the auto-generated ones, they have flaws. There's limitations to what the algorithm can come up with. The most noticeable flaw is that they're just not smooth. They don't adhere perfectly to taxiway center lines. In fact, they don't even know of the existence of taxiway center lines. So this is why you may see some of the AI aircraft kind of wandering, zigzagging down a taxiway. Is any kind of noise that's in the algorithm. If pavement moves slightly, sometimes people mimic real world pavement exactly, and things aren't paved as one straight smooth taxiway. They may have done it in segments, and those segments confuse the algorithm, and you end up with these wavy paths. So they're just not smooth. You can make much smoother ones on your own. They're also not aware of objects on the ground. So if there's a terminal in the middle of a big piece of tarmac, the algorithm has no idea the terminal is there, and planes are just going to drive right through the terminal. They're also not aware of the difference between active and non-active pavement. So what that means is if there's an access road in the real world for maybe a truck to get to one of the ILS antennas, the algorithm doesn't know that that's for a truck and not for a 747 to taxi down. So it's still going to put a taxi network there, and the AI aircraft will still be driving on those things. And you may also get instructions to drive on them from ATC. It doesn't know that that's not a suitable taxiway. And the last thing, of course, is that we just have no idea of what the names of the taxiways are. We have no idea whether there's a hold short line there. So we do the best we can. We want every airport to have the ability to have ATC there, but of course it's up to authors to really make it precise to the real world. So let's take a look at what an auto-generated taxi network looks like. So this is Seattle. This is our default airport, and this is not what we ship. This is what would be there automatically if we didn't make our own custom layout for it. So as you can see here, each of these is a taxi segment. So these lines are what the ATC system knows about. It doesn't know about the pavement underneath. It only knows about these lines. So it sees if this aircraft here needed to get over to this end of the runway, it thinks that this line right here through all these buildings is a perfectly suitable path. In fact, it might be one of the quickest paths. So it's kind of silly to just let the auto-generated layouts run at major airports like this, where we have all kinds of objects in the way. One other thing to point out is these red segments here. These are considered active pavement as far as runway is concerned. So these are where we put our hold short lines. Anywhere there's a boundary between a red segment and a blue segment, the red part is a protected area. So basically, you can't step on a red part as an aircraft without ATC permission if that runway is active. And the way we come up with that is we just assume that, we take the runway and we kind of expand it out in both directions, and anything that intersects with these lines becomes active. And that may not be accurate at all. Over here, for example, the real taxi hold short line is somewhere back here, as you'll see in my layout. But we just don't have that kind of information. So one other thing I wanted to point out, these lines through here it's a road in the real world. It's an active road for maintenance crews and stuff to get up and down the airport without driving on the active taxiways. But again, the algorithm doesn't know that that's just a little access road, so it puts down segments there, which means aircraft will also try driving on there. So now let's take a look at one that's custom made. So you can see, as we pointed out here, the taxi line comes way back here. I'm sorry, the hold short line comes way back here. This is actually the ILS hold short, and you can see the ILS antenna right there. So that kind of makes sense. Also, these other hold shorts were brought way back, much farther from the runway. If we go back to this previous slide, you can see how close these are on each of the runways versus this one. They're brought way back. These are all considered protective regions. And I did this by looking at the real airport, and I created a boundary anywhere there was a hold short line at the real airport. And you can see I don't have any lines through any buildings, and the access road is left open. So the next segment here, I'm going to be talking about how to create this layout for yourself.